Hey everybody, Chris from 6 Wins. This is Matt, and we lie,
we cheat,
we steal.
Viva la raza! Yeah.
Best male WWE superstar of all time. 6 wins. We got 2 matchups we're reviewing. First one, this is an interesting one. Number 7, Eddie Guerrero versus number 10 seed, Kofi Kingston. You know how Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania?
Yeah.
We should throw it out there that Kofi Kingston is Mr. Royal Rumble.
Or they say Mr. Kofi Mania, and I was like, well, he's got to be the only one, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah.
And then the second matchup we're going to review is Ric Flair Woo! versus Owen Hart.
Yeah.
He's not a nugget.
He's
Remember
not.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am not. They had that guy Jason Sensation come and do impressions.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
He
Yeah.
kind of came and went, but my brother and I, we watched it. We loved him. He was so good at WWE impressions.
Yeah.
I know I'm late, but my nose got here 10 minutes ago. Woo!
So let's talk about the first matchup here: Eddie Guerrero versus Kofi Kingston. You have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah. This was a tough one because both guys are very likable. But I think the answer for me is pretty clear. Eddie Guerrero, he had a long run in WCW. I remember him a lot in WCW as well. But of course, he also had a very long and substantial run in WWE. And capped it off with a big title win at WrestleMania. I personally felt that like the lie, cheat, and steal gimmick was a little bit just like so much. I don't know. It was interesting because it was one of the only times they'll like put like a liar or cheater over as like a face.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a little tricky to like. I was like, do I want to like this guy? I know they want me to, but he's also doing the things that I boo heels for.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're just kind of like, I'm torn. But Eddie Guerrero, for all he did with different roles, the lie, cheat, and steal, and then being a face, and that just won clean and stuff like that, and his in-ring ability, like, I was like looking back and just like, yeah, this guy is really memorable. Like I just see him and I'm like, man, I almost feel nostalgic for like the wrestling matches I used to see, which is weird. I never thought of myself as like Eddie Guerrero, my top guy, in kind of like that light heavyweight, cruiserweight division and stuff like that. A lot of times, obviously WWE got bumped up to main title more often. He obviously did mid card stuff, but yeah, I would go Eddie Guerrero. Kofi is kind of like, he's kind of like somewhere in between almost. Like if you took Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero and put like very like almost always face, other than like trying to have New Day be heels, but like kind of that kid-friendly face that's a high flyer that kids love and are gonna cheer for, but not. And then like Eddie Guerrero when he's always kind of like mid-card, but Kofi also had his main title, won it at WrestleMania like Eddie Guerrero. So, you know, you would not fault anyone for taking Kofi, but I think Eddie Guerrero's longevity is just something why I would choose him.
Cool. Great thoughts as always. I'm actually going Kofi.
Ooh,
and here's
okay.
why. So I think in terms of in-ring work, it's kind of a draw. Like it's kind of a draw, just like we saw with Mr. Perfect Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of personal bias for me, but Kofi Mania hit me really, really hard. And I think it told such a great story. Daniel Bryan played a fantastic heel, but Kofi was just right place at the right time, the right scenario. And I remember that WrestleMania was 2019. And I think I have a soft spot for it too because it was my son's first WrestleMania. And I had him dressed up in the Austin 316 onesie. I had my Austin 316 shirt on. So
Onesie.
Yeah. But it was just so cool. And I remember that Mania. There was Kofi, there was Becky Lynch, and I want to say there was one more match that was just like, okay, either Kofi's gonna lose or Becky's gonna lose, because those are the big like underdog stories.
That was Becky right after the man and the
Yeah,
bloody nose,
yes.
and everybody wanted her.
So they were both like exploding with popularity at the time. And I'm like, well, knowing how they book things, the Cinderella story's probably going to go to Becky, and Kofi's going to come just that close. But they went all out with it.
Yeah.
Kofi Mania ran wild, and his title run wasn't terrible. Don't love the fact that they had him drop to Lesnar in like 30 seconds on a SmackDown. Wasn't a fan. But that being said, I love New Day.
Yeah.
Wild to think that they've been a thing for what, like 10 years now.
Oh yeah.
Just a whole career resurgence for all of them. And, you know, what can I say about Kofi? Now, we did put it up to a vote, as we do with every single matchup. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We put it up on all of those. And so if you're not on them, get on them.
Get on
vote.
them.
I mean, you can come for the videos that we love that,
Yeah,
but
no, do that too.
we want to hear your take. If you want to comment more than what we put up. Anyways, Eddie Guerrero won.
Yes.
Viva la Raza. He did beat Kofi. I was very sad to see Kofi go, but it's hard to argue against Eddie.
Yeah.
So the next matchup was Ric Flair.
I can do it. I can do it.
So you go to any live WWE show, and that's all you hear is just woo, because it's so easy. But I'm going to try to start a movement where instead of the woo, we do the oh. So.
Oh, right.
Because the Usos are on fire right now, as of this February 11th, 2023. Usos are like the hottest thing in wrestling right now. Bloodline, whatever. Anywho, Ric Flair, number 2 seed, versus Owen Hart, number 15 seed. Any thoughts on this match?
Ric Flair, my time watching wrestling danced around his non-primes. I think I saw him early when he was in WCW, but had just come out of his prime. And then I saw him still good, but like in WWE Evolution and stuff like that. One of our running jokes was like Ric Flair was going to die to back body drop. The way he takes back body drops, normally you flip over and you should kind of go like head over heels pretty straight. He was like sideways. It was like a cartwheel in midair, and every time, I don't know why they booked him to take back body drops. He must have thought he was nailing it, but he did a back body drop like I would do a back body drop, and was not clean at all. And every time me and my friends were like, "Oh, this is the one where Ric Flair dies. He just lands on his head and doesn't rotate."
Oh, God.
But Ric Flair is one of the all-time legendary wrestlers. For in-ring work, for promo work, and having a loudmouth character that was larger than life, and people and kayfabe people looked at and were like, "This guy's incredible. He's driving around with women in limousines." Man, that he was like a rock star, but for wrestling, he was basically the rock star equivalent of like what you think kayfabe was. So honestly, I saw a lot more Owen Hart in his prime, and always liked Owen Hart. He had like this kind of like gimmick as like the blue blazer, and I thought that was like a really cool character. And he was always like, because some of my favorite guys are mid-card guys like D'Lo Brown and stuff like that, I think they crossed over quite a lot and had matches. So I saw and paid attention to a lot of Owen Hart matches, and maybe personally would say I like Owen Hart more. I think Ric Flair is like slightly overrated, which is like, I mean, he's absolutely legendary and is. I just think, like, I don't know. Could he go in the ring as well as some of the other guys that are on his same level? And I would say maybe not. But again, it's me because I only saw him, like, past his prime. Even at his best past prime times. It was just like, well, if you put him in there with, like, Undertaker, who's still younger, Undertaker's looking better and stuff like that. So I would go Ric Flair. I think that's the answer here. But I did like Owen Hart a lot. How about you?
Good stuff. I'm gonna go Flair too, but I could probably chat a little bit about it. I remember watching the I think it was Over the Edge '99 when the tragic incident happened with Owen Hart.
Yeah.
It was very odd. They rarely broke kayfabe in that time, and JR was really struggling to convey it to the audience and not totally blow their cover. He was like, he's like, this is not part of the entertainment tonight. And then you found out hours later, and this is before the time of social media, so it didn't travel as fast. But it was like towards the tail end of the show that he had to tell everyone he passed away. But Owen was great. He had that awesome, I think, Intercontinental title match with Brett in Canada that he won, and the crowd went nuts. I can't remember which WrestleMania that was at, or maybe it was at SummerSlam. But anywho, Flair, wish he had retired after his actual retirement match and not came back and wrestled 100 more matches. Flair's one of those guys that has crossed over into mainstream. Like, I feel like rappers really like Ric Flair just because he's just a wild card, and all his like trash talking promos are very like they align with hip hop music very well. Just like, I got more cars than you got friends. Like, it's just hilarious. Gosh, and I will say, when we threw up the bracket on social media, we got very little flack in terms of the rankings. Maybe the only flack we've gotten, Ric Flair. How could you put Flair at a 2 seed? And what they meant by that, he should be a 1 seed. Well, it's like,
really?
Yes.
I would have interpreted that as lower.
No, it was... I'm pretty sure I'll have to go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure Flair at a 2 seed, and I'm pretty sure the way I interpreted that is he should have been at a 1.
People need to specify their comments. You can't just, we can't throw up polls and be like, the number 8, Arn Anderson versus number 9, Mr. Perfect. You'd be like, come on, stop. Is that even a question? I don't know who you...
It is a question.
Yes. Tell me who. It's not that obvious. If it's not that obvious to me,
right?
It is a question.
Right.
I thought Ric Flair would be lower.
Yeah.
Than 2. That's what
I think so too. People, I mean, 16-time champ. He's got the most world title reigns of anyone.
That's true.
And
accolades, he's a 1.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, did you see the number 1 seeds? Austin, Rock, Taker, Hogan.
Yeah.
Sure, you can make the argument, but I think you could also make the argument why any of those 4 deserve the number 1 over Flair. Sorry, but here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to say. This poll, as of the recording of this video, we're running this tomorrow. But I am going to pull a Paul Heyman and not give a prediction, but a spoiler. Side note, somebody fact check me, because I think every single time Heyman has given a spoiler, it's been right. So since Brock broke the Undertaker's streak 10 years ago, Heyman has been telling us what's going to happen, and I don't think he's been wrong once. And I think when Lesnar faced Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania Pandemic, I think it was 36, he did not give the spoiler that Lesnar was going to beat him. Right. And I noticed that. I'm like, is Heyman actually telling us what's going to happen? I think he is. If he's ever been wrong, somebody post in the comments or whatever. But I'm giving the spoiler. Ric Flair is going to move on, despite all the respect and, sympathy for Owen Hart and the Hart family. But I think Ric Flair's moving on. So if I'm wrong, I'll come back and edit this. But I got a feeling we're going to see Eddie Guerrero versus Rick the Nature Boy. That doesn't sound right. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, in round 2.
There you go.